Hello, and welcome to another episode of Stanton Gossip. We're one day late. Apologies for that. Actually, my fault this time. Well, technically, it's not my fault, but
No.
I did not have internet yesterday, so which was very stressful because today I had a a job interview. It's so funny. In the last month, my internet was gone 2 times, and this was my first day before, night before my first and second interview. It looks like there's a sign. It's like the interview went well though. So
Yeah.
there's that, yeah.
So was it like, did you get like a note from your provider saying
No,
like
there
it
was
was a scheduled outage or?
it was just gone. That's it.
Hmm.
Very,
Well,
very annoying.
good thing it was back anyways.
Yeah. It took 2
How-
hours.
Well, I was gonna say, like, how long did it take to come back?
2 hours, but then it was already like, what was it, like 2 a.m. or something? Yeah. Alrighty. If you don't
And
know what Stanton Gossip is, it's a shorter, podcast
YouTube talk show.
YouTube talk show, yeah, where we actually throughout the week we watch quite a lot of or we used to watch quite a lot of stuff on YouTube. And then if there's something that we think everyone should take a look see at, we come here and promote it. And usually it's not only YouTube, but this time it will be. And also
Sometimes it's also like social media, Twitter,
yeah, whatever
etc.
comes our way and it's funny or
Yeah.
the problem is though Star Citizen currently is it's in a slump. So
Let's just say it's been a slow week. Even for content. Yeah. Like that's the weird thing. Like even through most of the slump, we found something to watch or to like, or something funny going on Twitter or something. But
Hey, it's
this
rough,
week,
man.
I got like, I have very few contributions this week.
I'm
But
gonna. So we have. This is always semi-scripted, and our last show for today is Salty Mike's Answer Call. But I'm gonna open it with just one part of it, and then we'll go back to ATC later. It's what we're talking right now. Is Salty Mike actually had morphologists on the show, which is always that's a jam. Like if you have these guys talking to, it was so good. It was like two friends with the same passion and semi-profession,
yeah,
brainstorming about what's happening, and you can hear in both of their voices, and just like it's difficult, man. Like
yeah,
Morph, we were looking at the numbers. Like Morph has videos that peak at like 1 million views on YouTube a year ago, and his latest videos are not even, I don't know, like 5-10% of that, and his videos are good. It's just like there's no content, and that means that a lot of people who are usually following what's happening with Star Citizen are just not there. Like people are
yeah.
just doing some other stuff.
We need that shakeup. Everybody knows we need the shakeup, and yeah, like after Fleet Week, like Fleet Week gave us some content, obviously, but afterwards, there's not a lot here worth pointing out. But we did find some stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, all YouTube this week. I don't know. There was probably some funny stuff going on Twitter or whatever, but I forgot to write it down. So
Yeah, I did
So-
not get anything from Twitter this time. Usually I do, but
Virgil's talking a bunch on Twitter, which is always entertaining.
true.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my contribution then. If you want some entertainment, go to Virgil's Twitter. Read some of the
There's some
conversations
actual drama there always between
yeah.
PvP and PvE community. I mean, honestly, if you're into Star Citizen, and especially at times like this, you should definitely like follow some of these either content creators or people who are very commonly seen in certain streams, or hunting down streamers, or very vocal on Spectrum and stuff like that, because there's a lot of just like trash talk around all the time, and if there's nothing else to do and you're very interested, like you need something about Star Citizen to keep you going, then Twitter is a good source. Actually, it's kind of funny, man. It's there's always something.
You know what's weird is I mean, obviously with Twitter you can kind of curate your content a little bit more, but I find it's less of a less of a cesspit than Reddit is. So, there's that,
I don't.
you
I'm
know.
not even going to Reddit to promote our stuff anymore. Like I
Yeah,
never. I was never a fan of like Reddit as an idea is really good
totally. And
because everyone can see the latest stuff, and if people like it, they will promote it, and then therefore you can get. But Reddit,
like a
it's an
couple years
endless
ago,
pit, bro.
yeah, well that's it. Like a couple years ago I was just like starved for Star Citizen content, just really was trying to like get to a point where I could like find a community to talk about Star Citizen with and stuff like that. And the one thing I quickly realized about Reddit is it's very circular, like it's a lot of the same stuff that comes up over and over and over again,
Mm,
mixed in with the odd situation where somebody tries to make a suggestion or be somewhat critical and then gets just destroyed
shopped, yeah.
by people who aren't interested in hearing anything but but
It
screenshots
reminds me
basically.
of all the 4chan. Crazy.
Oh yeah,
Screenshots
maybe.
though, if you're into that, definitely Reddit. Reddit is a place. Like there's like always good screenshots there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily have anything against people who are doing screenshots, and some of these are fucking
Oh,
amazing. It's just
of course. It's a pretty game. It's
yeah,
a pretty
100%.
game, but I just quickly learned that it's not the place you go if you want to have conversations.
Yeah. Even
Or
this,
try to
like,
promote a podcast,
that is
apparently.
free, and you get like slapped in the face. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
How dare you call this a podcast?
Exactly.
There's no audio only
Holy
format.
maybe.
Anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one that we have for this week, like the actual suggestion, is STL Youngblood's perspectives of buying into Star Citizen, which is a short-ish, like
Short-ish.
sub-hour
40 minutes,
podcast. And I'll let you take this one because I did not like it. And we talked about this.
Yeah.
And I just want to explain this before we go into it. STL Youngblood, for me, in my opinion, is one of those go-to YouTube channels. Like, he is a staple of he's one of the pillars of YouTube content creation for Star Citizen. And here's why it's important, because when you go to STL Youngblood, you expect consistency. It's always the same quality that you expect. The graphics are the same, his voice is the same, and it's just
it's not super flashy. It's always like very informative, well produced,
and always the same, right? It's like very, very consistent. And this, I did not get that from it, because when you bring people on to do a podcast, it's difficult. Like from Mike, I expect in Answer the Call, I expect like random microphone things, people not really good
that's
at
his
it.
thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, like it's like like
I was just surprised, and I listened through the whole thing. They have some solid points and some that I disagree with, but
there's some that are just wrong. But
I just wish this was on another channel, right? Like I just want STL the Youngblood's channel to be like what it is, and
okay. So I was the one who submitted this for tonight, and for the most part, I agree with Chegg. I kind of have mixed opinions of this. I don't necessarily agree that it should be on another channel. Like, and I'm okay with the content creator trying to branch out and do something different. You know what I mean? Like with a platform that they've already built. Like he's got a good amount of subscribers, and like you said, like his video content is really solid, and he's trying to kind of branch into this. I think this is his second or third kind of podcast style video, and I'll agree with you. Like it's pretty rough. Like there one of the people on there, the audio quality is pretty bad, and it is a little bit jarring. Not to mention, I feel like they're still trying to I feel like he's still trying to get the podcast to feel a little bit focused, but it still feels
a bit lackluster.
Yeah, it's still kind of lacking. But the reason I submitted this was because I think this is one of the first times I've heard a uh three people kind of come in with perspectives on, you know, buying ships in Star Citizen and kind of like explaining the mentality behind why some people spend a ton of money, why some people, you know, maybe have the money but don't want to spend the money because they want the feeling of progression throughout the game, and then kind of like, you know, a perspective kind of in the middle ground as well. And I thought there was some decent things that they explored. If I had to suggest somebody, if you do click on this video, which will be down in the description below, I would say skip the first part of like, he has it all timestamped. Skip the new player introduction thing, because that was part of the podcast where I felt like really fell flat. Like, nobody, I'm sorry, but no brand new player is clicking on this, you know,
I don't think so.
to for advice. And even if they did, I think they would probably just end up more confused, because it, to me, listening through this to their premise of the video, which is like, should you buy into Star Citizen, they made that pitch as if they were talking to a Star Citizen backer already, you know. So
But
for us,
let me ask you
it
something
makes,
though,
Mm.
because I agree with you 100%. I don't. This video is something that could potentially help a new backer. If the new backer would listen to it, which I don't think happens. And then from the perspective of any experienced player, what they're talking about, like, everyone knows. Like, we
Here's
know
the
there's
thing.
some people who are paying because they have jobs and time is
Yeah.
money, friend, and all that thing.
Yeah.
And
And
something
there are
just
other
enjoy.
people,
Exactly. Either don't have
and-
money to do it or don't want
or
to do
there
it.
are or there are other people who are just like full on buying into the marketing and hype and spending way
Yeah.
too much money, you know, and are just bound for disappointment. That you know, that those were the interesting things about this. And that's what I'm kind of like, I was just about to preface this by saying, like, I'm talking about like brand new players. I don't think brand new players will really get much out of this video.
I just
What
don't think
I'm
they would click on it. It's just not made
Yeah,
for,
exactly.
I don't know.
No, it's not really. And like that first intro section, like I said, it has so much like terminology that makes sense to us as backers, but probably wouldn't if you're a brand new player.
Mm.
You know, like they're talking about like you know, what ships to get and like what packages and stuff like that. And if you're brand new, you don't know any of that shit. Like, this is all gonna basically go over your head. What I thought, where I think this is really going to be beneficial for is people who've started the game, they've caught the bug, and now they're starting to go like, shit, do I spend money on ships, you know, like it, and I think that's that's the type of player where I think this video would be the most beneficial for, because it explains to you from the perspective, like I said, of somebody who's spent, he won't disclose how much, but let's just assume legatus levels. You know,
Probably,
somebody
yeah.
in the
It
middle.
says you would laugh about it if I told you.
Yeah, you know, somebody in the middle who's spent like quite a bit, but you know, has done it basically under some certain pretenses that he illustrates, and then somebody who owns, you know, like an Avenger Titan basically, and wants to keep it that way so that the game continues to be fun for them kind of in the long term. So yeah, and I mean, they kind of, they dive into the idea that you can earn ships in game, but you also have to kind of like, you know, make peace with the fact that you're going to lose them at some point, because there's going to be a reset. But anyways, it was like, there were a lot of points I think they made that were flat out wrong. But I still think that there's value to just hearing this conversation and kind of making up your own mind, like, you know, taking the points that are correct and that make sense, and you know, and kind of going from there. Even like modern, even experienced backers, to be honest, like I think there's some value to this as well, just hearing the conversations, even if it's just to kind of assimilate the information in such a way that if you were talking to somebody else who isn't a Star Citizen backer, or perhaps who's a newer Star Citizen backer, you'd have kind of a more well laid out kind of series of points to to talk to somebody about that sort of thing, or even just a link to share with them. So that's why I put this up here.
I mean,
Yes,
it
it's not.
happened. It happened in a slow week, so it's
Mm,
good that there's something. But I cannot agree this time. I just don't feel like there's which,
that's
again,
fair.
I don't want to throw any shade at Youngblood. I have massive respect for this guy and what he does for the
Hmm.
community. He's one of the biggest um content creators, so I have a lot of respect for him. So it's fine. And what you
Hmm.
said, I can sit on that, and like that's fine. Like he wants a podcast. I don't blame him. I love this format.
Hmm.
And it's kind of low maintenance as well. Very simple to do. Uh, and a lot of value in it. And yeah, I guess he's still trying to find the niche where like he's gonna be. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
if
I
he
mean,
keeps doing it, like him, Tomato, there's a lot of podcasts coming around. Like he's gonna find, he's gonna be one of those podcasts that you.
yeah. Well, he will or he won't. Like
That's
that,
what
and
I'm
that
saying. If
just
he
comes down to.
stays, I have no doubt that Youngblood will make it happen. You know what I mean?
Maybe, we'll
You don't
see.
think
Like
so?
ultimately, well, when you're, I mean, and he's not like. Let's be honest here. It's 50,000 subscribers, which is a fairly big channel for a Star Citizen channel. Um, and it'll be up to him to decide whether or not the metrics he gets back and the feedback he gets
Yeah,
back from this sort of thing is worth
sure.
pursuing. Like from a sheer content creator perspective, anyways.
I
But
am more thinking about like the quality of production, and
yeah,
if he
yeah.
keeps doing that, I'm sure this will be on the point where you're going to enjoy, like, listening,
Yeah, yeah, I agree
instead
with
of
that. Like,
being distracted by little things.
totally. Like, I think that he's made it clear with his other videos that
Absolutely.
he can kind of like get things produced to a point where they're polished and you know but yeah, it just remains to be seen, whether he decides he wants to pursue that. But yeah, I mean, we obviously, Chegg and I have different opinions about this, but link will be in the description. Check it out,
Tell us
see for
yours.
yourself. Yeah, yeah. Fire us a comment what
Yeah.
your thoughts on it are.
All right, so the next one, huge elephant in the room, and actually the reason I placed it here is
Didn't we
because
talk about this on Sunday?
we did, but it stirred a lot of drama around content creators, and there's some really opposing comments about it. So what I'm talking about
True.
is
Yeah.
Inside Star Citizen's Labors of Hercules, which we talked about, is in my opinion the worst Inside Star Citizen ever since I've been following the project for years. It gave me
Inside
no.
Star Citizen, since they've rebranded, I'd say yes. I'd say yeah. I think I'd agree with you on that. Like, probably the worst one, as far as just there being literally no information.
So Mike and Morph talk about this as well. No surprise, they are in agreement with us. The problem is not how good or bad the video is itself. I wouldn't mind this video if it was an extra video or something, right? There's no problem with it. It's it's a developer really I wouldn't even say hyping up, but just like enjoying the fruits of their labor, right? Vocally, and it's fine. The problem is ISC is something, it's our source for new stuff, and what's happening inside Star Citizen, as the name says, and therefore I think it missed the point completely. And as Mike said, I hope everyone, like he said this in weekly review. He said, "Hey, it's okay. Everyone makes a mistake. As long as they figure out that this is a mistake, that's fine." And I agree with this. They should have known that this is not good, but
The other problem was it's like it fell so flat because it came out literally weeks after people had been playing with the Hercules and the tank.
see,
So
that's true, but that's PTU. But then also it came
doesn't matter.
after Hercules was already in the game on PU as well, which kind of
That too, but the point is that, like, anybody who is interested in that,
already
in the
knows.
Hercules or the tank, had already watched streams or videos of it.
Yeah,
Because
Or
they were
played it.
everywhere.
And
Or played it. because it was open PTU. So if you really wanted to get in there, you could have done it yourself. And the people who did have already done that. So why?
You know what else though? It was very lazy. Like it was one
Yes.
script, someone read it very slowly, and they played the already made, video
B-roll,
behind it. So
which was kind of
yeah.
okay, but not really
It
like
was
trailer
okay.
level.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we had some other content creators who think that's fine and it's okay, like Darionator. So I mean I don't know. Like some people are okay with it. I'm not like I disagree with him 100%. I think it's bullshit. But
Yeah. I love you, Darj, but I'm sorry, but in no way was this okay. And like I think in a lot of cases the uproar, while okay, I will be the first to admit that the people who raise torches and pitchforks over stuff are generally overreacting. This was one of the situations where this was 100% warranted. This this is essentially
such
it's
a wrong
content we're
time.
paying for.
Yeah,
We're paying for this, like
I'm not, but yeah.
well, no, but like the community
It's
is
paid for.
ultimately.
But also,
And-
it's such a wrong it's such a wrong timing for this, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're having so many. Yeah, it's I don't know.
It just fell really flat.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, we've already gone off on this on Sunday, but
Yeah.
there's been some like commentary that's arisen since then, and
But that's it. I was just like, I just
Yeah.
wanted to, because it is Stanton gossip, so there was a little bit of drama around it. So just to mention it.
it's true. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the next one is very interesting. If I butcher your name, I am really sorry. Fulguro Geek. He actually, or they rather, commented on our last week's Stanton gossip, and we always ask for people to show us more content. And this was something that I never thought about, but I actually don't have any issues with it as long as you're ready to either not be featured or if we tell you how we actually feel about it. Like sometimes
We're
gonna be
gonna
good. Yeah,
exactly.
If
We're
I-
gonna tell you how we feel about it.
Yeah.
So
in any case, if we ever like take your video for for a spin, we're gonna have your link in the description for sure, which might or might not help. His channel is bigger than ours anyways, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
So I was very confused. I went to their channel immediately, and it's not in English. Most of it is not in English. So I was like, what? That's strange. But then I actually went through playlists and I found English titles, and this is the one that I watched, and I gotta say I really enjoyed it. It's not very long. It's 3.5 minutes or something like that, and it's very well made. It's photography is good. The music is really good. Narration, it sounds very
it's really
good.
well put together. Yeah. The sound quality is good. Yeah. I think the thing to me is like I watched this and I was like, oh my god, finally a fan-made trailer for Star Citizen that's not just
Walk Citizen,
Walk Citizen,
Yeah.
where it's just like a character walking through random biomes. Like there was a story to it. It was, the narration was well done.
Yeah.
I mean, it was this is what fan-made trailers should aspire to.
I agree. Also the female model in the game that they used, I want to say like they probably took a lot of time to make these 3.5 minutes because there was not a single glitch in the game. I know that's not possible. And the female voice that is narrating it really goes well with the female
It really does. Yeah.
character in the video, and it makes you immersed with it. And this is something very difficult for when you're limited with like alpha game, and also if you're like an amateur content creator, it's not something I usually see. I can laugh about things and whatnot, it's funny, like people do karaoke with VoIP or whatever VoIP, but this is actually I think this is this week's discovery kind of. So Geek, thank you so much for suggesting, and I'm more than happy to
And so if, like, obviously, like I said, the link will be down in below, but the video is called Calliope Candora, which I think is the like character's name. So it's kind of like an RP kind of a thing. And the video is called A Space Traveler's Odyssey. And yeah, by Fulgoro Geek, or on his channel, their channel. And yeah,
3 minutes.
really enjoyable.
Watch
3
it.
minutes, watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Don't
not many
put it on the
views, like-
background.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
watch
this
it.
one is literally watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going back to Salty Mike.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a strange answer to call, man.
It was. That's why we're mentioning, because usually, like
Hmm.
we've said in the past couple episodes or whatever, we try, like we talked about, Salty Mike a lot, and his ATCs and stuff like that. So we kind of tried to steer more towards new content and stuff like that. But this one was just, it was such an interesting episode. It deserves mention, and not necessarily. And you can correct me if you think I'm wrong here, Chegg, but like not necessarily because the content necessarily was super interesting. It was like a very open forum.
There was no content, right?
There was no topic really. It was just kind of like, call in and air your stuff. But Morphologist was on there as well.
So it was like 2 different episodes for me. One was Mike.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
You could even cut it in 2, because just Mike and Morph talking about something is like an instant, I mean, it's like, it's something everyone should watch. And there's so much respect between these two guys, but we're not gonna. We already talked about that. So just go watch it, and then after that, Mike at some point said we're not having open floor anymore, and it's so funny to see, like, when you don't have a topic. Every caller that called was new to me. Like, I don't remember these voices at all.
I recognize 2 of them, but yeah.
Maybe from some time ago or something. I don't know, but they're not like his regular viewers. And
no.
And then there was one particular call that definitely fits into Stanton gossip, because it ended up with the person basically rage quitting after a long and very heated conversation.
Yeah, and like, let's be clear here. Actually, a really good conversation. Like, the caller, so say we all, like, really made some good points, and was like articulate and stuff like that. But yeah, it did get a little heated.
I feel like he came in very hot, disrespectful to the owner of the channel. His tone was not like at the beginning. It's very nice, like he's stating the point. Mike is agreeing. But the moment Mike was like, "Wait, but what are you trying to say, buddy? Like, we know this, but what's the?" And then sorry, my English. Comparing Star Citizen to No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous, you immediately lose it there. Like, what are you trying to even point out?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like.
And then he would start fixing the development of the game. And this is like when Inforunners started fixing ships for me. I'm like, I'm not into that stuff, man. It's their game.
True. Like, to be fair, we're guilty of that too sometimes in our episodes, like saying things that we think would be better, but we usually preface that by, like,
but
we
it's
don't know
more
what the
like
fuck we're talking
imagination,
about.
right? Like, where we lose ourselves in what we would like to see, not like this is how you should develop things. That's
or what it could be. But you're right in that, like, he did kind of come in with kind of like a I'm smarter than everybody kind of thing, but that could have just been how I was interpreting it. At any rate, the frustrating thing for me with that was that, like, by the end of it, they were basically making the same point.
But it was too heated though at that point.
But they were too heated that they were just missing each other. But
Mike saw this. He tried to, like, extinguish the fire, but
yeah. No, I wasn't in here live, and apparently, from what I heard, from what you were saying, Chegg, it was like
it's an assumption. Basically. So the way I saw it, because Mike already started, like, extinguishing that fire and being like, okay, let's calm down and, like, talk this through, But he just got angry and just left. And my assumption is Mike has this. I think Mike is the only streamer in Star Citizen, folder that has real Twitch audience. So they can be brutal. And
Yeah.
I think this guy, so Savio, was, by the way, that's his name, was reading the chat, and the chat became brutal to him, which I'm not surprised. And he just got, he just couldn't take it anymore and just left. Which made Mike giggle, and he continued. But still, Mike was grateful. Like, he was like, "Hey, I mean, it was a good conversation, and I hope he
Yeah,
can
yeah.
have another one sometime." But
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think Mike was pissed at first, but it seemed like he kind of like, as he kind of cooled down after that, he realized that it was legitimately a good conversation. It
you
just,
know,
potentially maybe wasn't the exact form for that kind of conversation. You know what I mean?
here's another
Like
thing.
coming on somebody's show and then yelling at them, or like yelling back and forth at each
Yeah,
other, maybe not the best situation for that. That's something you save for like a bar citizen or something like that, right?
true.
But it was still, I don't know. It was interesting enough that I think it's worth checking out. You know?
Mike is also like, he's been doing this for a while, and he's really good at like articulating other person. And I think he figured out that
Yes.
he
Yeah.
failed because So Saviol came in
Yeah.
with like, and he started normal and articulate, and then he like went into like so wide and so many things, and it became
Yeah.
like all over the place. And Mike tried to like articulate that into, you know, shrink it
There
in a
was
little bit, and he failed. And I think that's what you know
Yeah,
triggered
there
Mike a
was
little bit.
definitely some like talking over each other too, which possibly,
Mm,
like, I mean, we've experienced this. Like, if it's via Discord, sometimes that just results in like the audio dropping for the other person, so you don't even
mm,
know if you're talking over the other person,
true.
and that can make those sorts of conversations very difficult. So it could have been that as well. At any
It's
rate, that's definitely
sparked a
something we
little
haven't
fire. I
seen
mean, it
before.
was interesting to
Yeah.
listen to. It made me laugh a little bit and yell at the screen. And
It made me
lately,
feel really awkward and really bad for
that's
both of them, honestly,
true,
at a certain point.
100%.
Like,
But it was something different, man. Like last couple of
yeah,
months, even we didn't have any outrage. It was mostly the same people call, which is not necessarily bad, but like, and this was quite different. I almost feel like it would be better if these were two different videos, because Mike and Morph is just like super mellow atmosphere. They're like
yeah,
like
yeah,
you. They
yeah.
are. Oh, it is two good content creators talking about stuff, and then you
Well,
go into chaos.
they're kind of in the same boat too, right?
True,
Like
true.
they're both in similar kind of situations. So,
Yeah.
as content creators. So I think that kind of like creates that little bit of like a mellow, like you guys are on the same page for the most
Mm.
part, right? Which, yeah, like it just, yeah, it was a pretty jarring shift between that and then kind of like definitely a more antagonistic kind of a conversation. So yeah.
Yep. All right, that's gonna do it for this week. We did something a little bit different. If you pay attention, if you did not figure it out already, there's really uh, low volume music behind us, and on purpose we did it on our shorter version of the show, so that we can listen to it later and figure out if we like it personally. But if it bothers you or it doesn't bother you, please tell us in the comments, because we'd like to know. Trigger anyone or anything like that. And yeah,
I
I
actually
just.
didn't
Huh?
I actually didn't know there was music this whole time. I thought you gave up on it. I didn't realize
Oh
it was
no.
playing. Oh, okay.
And now you have a reason to listen to this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I'll have to catch it on YouTube.
it's yeah. So the I just want to say, the straight out of Stanton episode was crazy last week, and
Yeah.
definitely not something we expected. I got really emotional. And I honestly didn't know. I know for a fact that I just don't want to let go of this podcast. I really enjoy it, like both that we do on this channel. But I really fell into a really like strange spot with backing Star Citizen, which is something that I wouldn't naturally do. Um, but as the time has passed a little bit, I did calm down. I still stand behind what I've said. It's just that
Hmm.
I think it's okay to still follow the project. I don't have to necessarily promote the way they
Yeah.
do things, but even then, I'm pretty sure I've stated that I want them to succeed. I just don't like how they are You
I
know,
think that's I
yeah,
think that's yeah, I mean personally like I've seen this with a bunch of different people. Like it's like they still support the project, but it's like, like it's okay to disagree with the way they do things and it's okay to close the wallet too, right? Like that in and of itself is kind of like a statement that you disagree with kind of, you know, how that kind of funding and
it's
marketing
yeah,
has begun to work. So I don't know. Like
it's
I
hard to put
personally
it like in the words
yeah.
like the way I feel, because I don't mind funding this project at all. I want to, but I don't agree with how they're asking for money,
Mm,
and to a point where I'm like, no, I don't want to be behind this. But yeah, if like I've said there, if it was a AAA game and it was their money they're like flinging around, that's perfectly fine, man. I wouldn't judge that for a moment. You know, your money, do whatever crap you want to do. But I mean, it's still their money, right? you
yeah.
you send it, it's theirs, right? But still, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to
There's the
say
big
that.
disclaimer.
I mean, Sunday we're gonna do a podcast. Like, it's not going away.
Yeah.
And
Not the end of the world.
yeah.
But, and this is something I kind of mentioned in a comment on that video actually, was that like that's kind of one of the things that we talked about when we were talking about starting this podcast in the first place is like we want it to be something where it is a little bit more raw.
Raw, genuine, like
Yeah, like honest and yeah, like we're just gonna be real with where we're at with Star Citizen and what CIG is doing. And yeah, I mean sometimes it's gonna be positive when we agree with it, and sometimes we're gonna follow those conversations and come to the honest conclusions, which
yeah,
may end up sounding a little negative, but
being
but that's
emotional about the project, like just makes
yeah.
that happen.
Yeah, and being invested and passionate about where this game could be, and that's just kind of where we've been, what we decided when we started it. Like I said, I mean, we want to be honest and we want to be real about where we are and what our opinions are about the project. But I mean, like we say almost at the beginning of every video, like we love this project and we love what this game could be, and that's why we're here and that's why we're making
Yeah.
content. So
Yeah, and there was a lot of comments on that video as well and all that, so I appreciate
yeah.
all that. Yeah, it was. I mean, this is the first time that I'm actually afraid of going back and listening to the whole podcast, which I usually do. I just don't have it in me to listen to it. I feel like there was a lot of emotions on my end, and I just can't go through that. But
That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
All right, that's gonna do it for this Wednesday. Well, Thursday.
Thursday,
or
yeah,
maybe
that's right.
even
It's
Friday.
not Wednesday.
Yeah, for me it's already Friday. It's 3 a.m. So,
Oh man.
thank you so much for being here with us, and yeah, have a great rest of the week or weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Bye.
Bye bye.